Hello and welcome to Diana's Makerspace. I'd like to show you a little bit of my morning routine and that I do when I make my makeup. Let me just change one thing in here. Change the lighting just a little bit because it does can get a little dark. Let's see if we do it this way. Okay, that's better. Let's do it this way. Um, well, first thing I do is I do my eyes, and as you can see, I have my glasses off. So what I do is just go take an eyebrow brush. Always make sure that I comb it, and then what I do is basically just take and just lightly trace. And you notice what I'm doing, so I'm just tracing over some of the natural gray areas. And then sometimes I like to do a little bit of extension, like that though, a little bit of extension. And then I do the same thing here. Now you can see the effect though that the eyebrow brush has. The next step, I just have to step out of the loop and just get one other thing. Um, and then what I do is I moisturize my eyeballs to keep them in place. So I'll show you how I do that. Just take a little bit of Noxzema, just a little bit. Just go just slightly over. And actually you can use the remainder part of it, the excess on the other eyes. Now you can see if you put too much on, you can see it shows the white Noxzema. So basically I just do enough just to get the excess off. And again, make sure when you use Noxzema that you or moisturizer that you don't get in your eyes. And with my eyebrow brush, let's see what did I use? I used LA Colors, and again, I'm gonna use LA Colors to do my eyelids. And let's get this. This is always a little difficult for me to open sometimes. There we go. And you can see I use some LA Colors, and my eyeshadow is sort of like, as you can see on here, just a little bit like this. I sort of like just a little bit, or basically even. Let's see which one today. No, like that though. So, um, or even just a little bit tan. So, let's just do. Well, let's just do a little bit like this today. Let's just do a little bit like this. Like, let's see what this looks like. And what I do is I start the top of my eyelid. Again, getting a nice outline. And what happens, you want to pick something that makes your eyes pop, but doesn't make it too garish. So, and I have the lighting set for evening, even though I'm just going out for the day like that. I have a mirror where I can set the light to different things like that, evening, office, day, um, so that I look good. Um, Even in office lights, I have a Clairol True to Light True to Light mirror by Clairol. It's a mirror that I um, picked up off thrifting a few months ago. It's really been a nice thing like that though. It actually has the original Miss Clara on here. And the last part is I use CoverGirl Aqua Smooth, and I use Classic Ivory. So let me show you a little bit about that. Whoops, where did I put my poof? Just a minute. Lay back again. And here I am back. I found my makeup brush. A little bit. Here's a little bit of a makeup brush. And then what I just do is just take it and now maybe because I'm nearsighted, I have to stand a little bit closer to the mirror to see how it's applying. Also, this has SPF 25 protection. During the spring, um, I wear SPF 50 during the spring and summer, even though I'm not planning to tan because many years ago when I used to work in research, I worked with friends from Sweden, and what happened was basically um, they warned me about basically about using SPF 50 because one time I went to a Brewers game, went to a doubleheader, and I really came back clammy and red as a lobster. Now you can see sometimes when you apply it along the chin area, you gotta be careful because basically it can get you can get into cakiness when you apply it along the area. Now what I do is I just get a nice base coat first. Get a nice base coat like that. Though just get a nice base coat and again, like I said, like last night with Noxzema, make sure you don't get too close to your eyes because oh, there's the proof. Okay, I was in there. I just didn't realize it. Well, I'm using a brush. And actually, with the brush, you use your product better when you use a brush. Now I just put on a second layer. And notice I'm just using the tip of the brush. And notice you want to try to keep a certain natural motion and just spread it out a little bit. A lot of people forget basically to do this part that I'm doing, the bottom part. It's more than just your face. Because the other part is also down down here because if you're wearing a top like this, you gotta do that as well. And when you do it, some people take the top off when you do this, but I do it because I like having the line to see. But make sure make sure that basically you come close to the line, but you don't paint over it. And things when you do, if you do have remaining hair like many trans women do, is to just cover enough just to make sure that it looks nice, but not like you're trying to cover. So now that's done. The next step is basic. Last step I do is then I put on my lipstick. I pick I sort of like some sort of like a little bit of a neutral, like a little bit of a color, notices but doesn't pop. And try not to do bowl lips, which is like because if you don't do it properly, it doesn't look good. And again, I got to step out of the room for just a minute to do this last part. Now, when you do this last part, it's good to get some tissue or some other type of paper because what I'm going to do is I'm going to blot, and what you do is just go. Now notice how some of the lipstick came off. Blot again. Now that's because that's to take care of any excess that you may have. Now let me put my glasses back on. You can see how I look. And this is how I do my morning routine. Um, and I'm interested in comments, so please feel free to leave comments on YouTube, X, or um, Facebook and Pinterest. And this has been Diane's Makerspace, my makeup routine.